Hi, this is Charles Hoskinson, broadcasting live from warm, sunny Colorado. Always warm, always sunny, sometimes Colorado. Today's October 15th, 2023, and we're making a video about something a little new today. I'm going to try a new way to communicate on certain topics because no matter how many times I say things on those topics, it's as if people just really want to uh, not understand or move in a different direction. And I'm going to try one last time, and we're going to do something a little different. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Wow. Okay. And we'll share this. There we go. All right. I'm going to bring this up right here. All right. So this is Obsidian, and today's topic is thoughts on XRP case. Okay, there we go. And we're actually going to type things out, write things because it's gotten to the point of parody at this point. Okay, so there are two different concerns. Okay. So there are two different concerns about this case. Okay. The first concern, one, did Ethereum get a free pass? Okay. So did something happen so that Ethereum could get a free pass from the SEC? Okay. Number two, did people from Ethereum bribe the SEC? I'll weaken it a little bit. Influence the SEC to go after XRP. Okay. These are two different concepts. You see, there's one, and there's two. Okay, just in case you don't understand, these are different concepts. So these are different concepts. And I know that might be hard for certain people, but these are different. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to make sure that that gets bolded. There we go. Different concepts. Okay. Now they might be interlinked. They could have associative links in some way, but they are okay. Different concepts. And so here's some baseline stuff we're going to write down because I know, again, I know it's so hard. Baseline stuff. One. All right. Number one, Charles is not okay with corruption. Number two, and here, let me highlight that for you because I know you guys are having some trouble with this. All right, there we go. Charles is not okay with corruption. Got it? All right. Number two, Charles does not. We'll also put that and highlight it again. Like when people use relationships to improperly influence government policy. Okay, yeah, I do not like that either. Number three, Charles has never believed that XRP is a security. And there are things going back years where I've said that. All right. Okay, and we'll just, put that right there so people can understand that. All right, so it's just some baseline stuff. All right, number four, Charles has not taken the time to review the first concern, or will he? Okay, the first concern. So, what is that first concern? We're going to go back up to it right up here. It's a, did Ethereum get a free pass from the SEC? So we can do this right here. Actually, we'll just says two, and what we'll do is we'll just go down here. Why? There we go. Why didn't I take the time to reverse the first concern? Well, it's because I really don't care. And why don't I care? Because it will be impossible to prove one way or the other. Just go ahead, put that up. Why is it impossible? Okay. Well, we have this thing called COVID. Guys, remember that? And there's overwhelming evidence that COVID was made in a lab and that US government policy was wrong about it. But you know what? No one believes it who's in a position of power and matters. And it's the same situation here. When you run into a situation of a free pass can be lots of different things. So let's go down here and let's just kind of go into free pass mode. All right, bum, bum, bum. Free pass. So free pass can be things like I'm friends with the guy. Free pass is the guy wants to have a job at some point from me. Another is that they don't want to go hard on me because it's too big and bad for the industry, the too big to fail situation. It could be things like they didn't fully understand and thus left it to be. They didn't think it was important. It could be things like, yes, corruption. Oh, yeah, of course, it could be that. It could be something like maybe they think there is a geopolitical advantage. For example, they want to keep that industry inside the country. And you can go down the list. There's lots and lots of things for a free pass. Okay, so maybe Hinman and the other guys were friends with Joe. Maybe they wanted a job. Maybe there's some money they could make. Okay, and so yeah, corruption down here or favoritism. Maybe they thought that going after the number two cryptocurrency would be catastrophic for the industry. Uh, you know, maybe they just didn't really understand everything and said, "I don't want to make a position on it." Maybe they said, "We want to leave this particular thing in Silicon Valley." Why would they want it in Silicon Valley? Because lots of donors are Silicon Valley people and have invested heavily in that ecosystem. So maybe they didn't want to piss those people off. You can go from free pass land and have all kinds of reasons why. Okay. Well, I really don't care. And let me just go ahead and emphasize that again. We'll just go ahead and put some italics here for you. Okay. I don't care. Why? Because it's not really possible to know what's going on in this particular person's head unless he writes about it and tells you. And is he going to do it? No. And we'll add something here. It's impossible to prove one way or the other unless you do an investigation. But let me emphasize this. But we don't do that anymore. That's correct. We don't do investigations anymore. In the United States, and I know the press has difficulty with this, the USA. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and put that in there for you guys. Okay. The United States, we just don't do investigations anymore. We didn't do things like COVID. No, we didn't really look into that. Now, did we? Where's the big committee for that? We didn't look into the U.S. response to BLM. We didn't look into that. Now, did we? What else didn't we look into? The wasted 20 years of money spent on war, like Afghanistan and Iraq and all those things. We didn't really look into that. Now, did we? CIA for the last 60 years. No, we really didn't look into anything those guys did. And you just keep going down the list, right? We just don't look into this stuff anymore. No, we just completely ignore it and we move on. Oh, the declining human fertility rate. You know, male fertility's fallen by 50% in the last 50 years. Did you guys know that? No, we don't really look into that. Sugar. Have we done an investigation how bad sugar is for everybody? No, we don't. The FDA is owned by those people. Okay. Consolidated telco. Well, we only have 4 telcos in the United States, don't we? Right? Consolidated telco. Yeah. And actually, it's going to 3 because, T-Mobile bought Sprint. I guess Dish is going to do something. We'll see. Okay, so consolidated telco. We got 4 telcos. And you just go down the list. We don't really look into these things anymore, right? All of Gary Gensler's conduct, do you honestly believe for a moment that we're going to do an investigation? Do you actually think that that's going to happen when the other party takes over? No, not going to do that. So unless you do a proper investigation, okay, and you just go down the list and there's nothing there, you won't know why the free pass happened or if there was a free pass or what the mens rea was, all these things. You just won't know it. And yes, you guys can go until the cows come home and outline lots of things that you think are the case and in your own mind prove to yourself that a person is corrupt. And that goes okay up here, right here. Did the Ethereum get a free pass? And maybe in your head, you can believe that's the case. And there's plenty of people like John Deet and others that talk about this. And you guys in the community talk about this a lot. The thing is, I don't care because there won't be an investigation to definitively prove and pull all these things together and talk about that. And thus, it's impossible to really prove one way or the other what the hell is actually going on because you just won't talk about it. We don't do that anymore in the US government. As I said again and again, I'm not okay with the corruption. I don't like when people use relationships to improperly influence government policy. Never believe that XRP has been a security. And I'm not going to take the time to really dig into the whole free pass thing because it's a completely pointless matter. It won't prove anything. No one's going to go to jail. The US government doesn't do investigations anymore on these types of things. There are so many things to get angry about. I'll give you another example from my personal life. The audit the Fed movement. 2011, we went and spent an exhaustive amount of time going to Congress and trying to get them to do a Government Accountability Office audit of the Fed. The vast majority, super majority of your representatives said, wait a minute, we should be doing this audit, right? Did it happen? No. Why is the Fed immune to being audited? Well, we could do an investigation, look into it. Do we? No, because we don't do that anymore. We don't actually look into that stuff unless it's political. And even when it's political, the investigation really doesn't go anywhere. Nothing really happens. See, that's why I don't care, because nothing comes of those conversations. The only thing I spoke about historically was this right here. Number 2, did people from Ethereum bribe or influence the SEC to go after XRP? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go down here. All right, and down here, we're going to go ahead and put these 3 things. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. Did people from Ethereum bribe the SEC to go after XRP? Okay. A little question mark here. And my first comment on that is, if so, then where is the evidence of that? That's what I keep asking. Where is the evidence of that? Having Hidman meet with Joe Lubin and Vitalik and get a bunch of money, isn't it very plausible that that bunch of money was connected to, let's make sure that Ethereum is not a security? Do you have an email? Things that would qualify as evidence, like is there an email that says, hey, go after XRP? Is there a recording? Is there, some sort of hidden text? Is there a video of these types of things where they said go after XRP? Were there, whistleblowers? Okay, who said we were influenced and told to go after XRP hard? These types of things. Do you have any of these things? No. You might have a money trail, and that money trail could be connected to this. How do you know that these two things are connected? Could have associative links, like maybe they got a 2-for-1. But how would you know that unless an investigation was done? But we don't do those anymore, do we? We don't investigate anymore. Like all this stuff. Sugar is killing everybody in America. Makes us all fat, yours included too. Okay. Lost half of our fertility rate. We have a huge consolidation of many industries. No one seems to care about it. Gaming industry, Activision Blizzard just got bought by Microsoft. How about that? Keep overthrowing countries and killing people, but we don't even look into that. The Afghanistan was unmitigated failure, and we're not going to look at any of the money we gave to Ukraine, are we? No, it's just terrible tragedy. You got to move on. Audit the Fed? No, we don't do that here. Okay. So a lot of people get free passes in the United States. Standard policy. I'm not okay with it. Never been okay with it. I don't like it when people do that, which is why I really hate the way our government runs. And I've numerous times said XRP is not a security. But the thing is, why even bother investigating? Because you're not going to get anything out of it. Did people bribe the SEC to go after XRP? Do you have any smoking gun evidence of that? No. So if you claim it, then you are pushing an unsupported conspiracy. Okay. If you will, perhaps, because a lot of people are saying it and it would require a lot of leaps, a grand conspiracy. And therein lies where the comments came. This is what we were talking about. Now, I've seen everything from, well, that must mean you think they didn't get a free pass. Would we talk about that? No, we weren't talking about that. Not at all. Just this comment right here. Okay. So what's the CoinDesk article I see this weekend? Cointelegraph, excuse me, I see this week. And they say Charles thinks that it wasn't corruption, just favoritism. I spoke about this extensively when asked in an AMA, and I said, all right, here it is. And I was lamenting that people can't separate these two concepts here. This concept right here, did they get a free pass from, do people bribe and influence the SEC to go after XRP? They're just utterly incapable of separating these concepts from each other. My original statements were about this right here. And I said at the time and continue to say, I don't care about this one because there's nothing you can do about it without an investigation. But we don't do that anymore. You can just make this list as long as you guys want to. And there's lots of reasons why you'd give a free pass. Everything from I just like the name Ethereum to they gave me a big sack of money with things. Now, you guys in the community seem to be combining these two things together. And I say, all right, what evidence do you have? Do you have an email, a audio recording? Let's put audio there, like that. Do you have an audio recording? Do you have hidden text? Do you have video recordings? Do you have whistleblowers that claim these things that the SEC was bribed to go after XRP by someone from Ethereum, probably Uncle Joe? If you don't have that evidence, but you're saying it, that is an unsupported conspiracy, and thus where the words grand conspiracy came from. So I think it's nuts to believe this. It is not in the best interest of Ethereum for any layer one to be attacked by the Securities Exchange Commission. Why? Because if the SEC goes after a layer one, a later administration can use that case law. And this is a point that seems to be missed again and again. Does it make sense? If one layer one with similar facts and circumstances is hit by the SEC, then case law would exist that would be useful for other layer ones with similar facts and circumstances. So if XRP is security, the SEC could use that same construct for Ethereum is a security. He said, well, they would never do that because apparently the entire agency is controlled by Joe Lubin. All right, well, does that mean if, like, for example, Trump gets elected or a Republican gets elected and there's a new chairman of the SEC, that that same person would be beholden to the same political influences that somebody who no longer even works there had years ago? Huh. All right, you could believe that, but if you are Uncle Joe, would you take that risk? Would you take that risk? Let's say you can ask for two things. You can ask for, give me a free pass, which case it helps everybody in the industry, but more importantly, it helps you. Or you can go ahead and ask for a free pass, but then have them take out your opponent, XRP. But why is XRP exactly an opponent? Why? Didn't have smart contracts at the time. Huh, well, we forgot to put that in. No smart contracts. Yeah, there was CODIS, but that wasn't anywhere. No smart contracts, different industry. So bank settlement, interbank settlement, remittances, these types of things. No community control of consensus. There was no notion of mining. So no mining, these types of things. What else can you think? Are these the same ecosystems? Been around for a while and didn't seem to interact with Ethereum. Not once did Ethereum ever come up in every conversation. Ripple come up in any conversation we had with Ethereum. None of these things were there. So why would you, when you have something that's clearly in a different industry, a different competitive class, different team of people, want to then go and try to weaponize a government agency, massively increasing your potential for these types of things to happen, which maybe, just maybe, could create an investigation or a problem for you down the road, and then create case law. We'll even highlight that right there for you. I know it's hard, but we're just going to keep going at it. Case law that would then be weaponizable at a later date to go after you, or in the case of Joe Lubin, or the consensus, if they have an S there, crown jewels. You got to remember that consensus had a boatload of token offerings, right? All right. So your free pass idea, you can't just touch Ethereum. You have to touch every single thing that consensus was involved in. Because if you create and weaponize the law in a way that makes the SEC want to go after everything, well, anything that consensus touched is now going to be a security. And that creates a problem, doesn't it? Doesn't that, by transitivity, hurt Uncle Joe? All right, but let's do it. Let's just, even though they're in a completely different industry, they don't have smart contracts. There's a different consensus model. They have a different adoption model, different governance model, all these things. Let's just take these guys out, right? Well, maybe, just maybe, that doesn't make a lot of sense. And that's what my statement was. And that's why I say, unless you show me some evidence, of which I haven't seen any at all from anyone, these types of things, like somebody from the SEC asserting that they were in a meeting where Joe Lubin said this, or somebody else, some form of video or hidden text, or an audio recording or an email, something floating around that actually shows that, you can't really say that there's evidence that the people, the Ethereum, bribed the SEC to go after XRP. What about all this stuff? Well, let's go back to some baseline. I'm not okay with corruption. I don't like it when people use relationships to improperly influence government policy. I don't believe it was legitimate for the SEC to go after XRP, and I'm glad that they won. Okay. And I'm not going to go and take the time to look at Deaton or all these other things that they have outside of a surface level understanding of free pass. Why? Because no investigation will ever be done The real free pass is that if there was a free pass, the people who did the free pass will never be investigated because we don't do that anymore in the United States. We just don't do it. We don't look under those stones. When the executive branch does something that is harmful to people, whether it be tax policy or it be financial policy. Here's another great example: too big to fail. You guys remember that? The whole Occupy Wall Street, the 2008 crisis? Tell me, how many people went to jail when the banks collapsed and we had to merge all these things together? Outside of Bernie Madoff, not anybody. In fact, they got bigger. We don't do that anymore in the United States of America. That's just how our legal system works. Am I okay with that? No, which is why we want to change things. Do we like it when people do that? No. But you know what? They also do this. Charles reminded you guys that they do this in medicine, law, especially family law. They do this in telecommunications. They do this in the software industry. Oh, yes. What else do they do this in? Well, let's see here. Drug development. So I'll call it pharma. Yeah, pharma is a huge one, right? Military. Oh, yeah. Look at the military contractors and all the crazy shit that they do. What other industries can we think of here? Is it telecommunications, software, pharma, military, medicine, law? Oh, education is another one. Yeah, the education cartels and how they've structured credentialing and all these other things. Yeah, people just use that. Oh, yeah, lobbying. Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, if you're a congressman, you get to be a lobbyist after you leave. Do that whole thing. Yeah, they do all this bad stuff. They use personal relationships and they use a revolving door of things. So bank regulation, that's another one. Yeah, bank regulation. Yeah, that's what we do. We have a term for this. We call this corporatism. Okay, corporatism. Corporatism. It's where you use basically an unholy alliance of corporations and government, where the people who are responsible for regulating your big companies end up working for the corporations. They're getting financial benefit from the corporations. And you can't find a single big industry in the United States where this is not the case, whether it be Microsoft doing it, Pfizer doing it, Raytheon doing it, the big education lobbies doing it, yeah, the congressmen doing it themselves, the big banks doing it, the large hospital cartels doing it, the law firms doing it, especially in family law, to keep the law a certain way. Half of American marriages end in divorce, and that gets weaponized. Who do you think benefits from the weaponization of children and divorce and all these types of things? The law firms do, because they make a fucking fortune from it. In fact, you only got 3 big cell phone companies in the United States, and the ISPs are highly monopolized. And we say, oh, we're going to fight this. We're going to get rid of this corruption. This is bad. And do we do an investigation into it? No, because we don't do that anymore in America. We're not okay with it. Don't like it, but that's the government you got. And somehow people are just amazed that maybe, just maybe, there could exist somebody over here that maybe, just maybe, gave them that. And if that's the case, as I've said multiple times, well, I don't really care. Why? Because we can't prove it in a court of law in a way that has consequences and will change policy. We're just going to move on. And so that's why I didn't take the time. And I said, right here, I didn't take the time to really review it and get into it to the extent you guys have. And I understand your passion and your anger about it. And I agree with you in spirit that XRP is not a security, as do the courts now. Now, you can't infer, though, that somebody went from a say it's not something to say something else is something, and we're going to go take a competitor out. If you're going to do that, you need evidence. And I know enough to know that no evidence has been provided here, because if you had that smoking gun, we'd all have seen the tape 1,000 times. We'd have all heard the audio recording 1,000 times. We'd have all read the whistleblower testimony again and again and again of somebody on the Ethereum side, of Vitalik or a Joe or a Gavin, saying, those XRP people are super scary. We got to take them out. So go ahead and say they're a security. That's why I call it a grand conspiracy. Now, if you believe that they did do that, you can, of course, believe it, but you got to prove it. And you can't, because the evidence isn't there for that. So why go after me for that? And it doesn't make sense that somebody would want to do that, because Consensus was in the business for a long time of printing tokens and having lots of projects deliver those to the people. And you don't want to go create case law that makes all these different things securities. You just don't. It's not good business to go and do that. And why would you want to do it against something that doesn't have smart contracts, is in a completely different industry, doesn't have community control of Consensus? It's been around for already a long time, and it has money, and it doesn't really interact much with your ecosystem. You're playing in different pools with different people. Maybe you have a better reason than I do. So maybe this helps explain things, but you just got to stop at some point, guys. You got to stop. There are better things in life to do than argue over these types of things and get so passionate about these types of things. I'm not the enemy here. I've never been the enemy here with this. I was one of the few people in the industry when you guys got hit with the XRP as a security lawsuit that actually came out and said, you're not. Vitalik Buterin didn't do that. Boatload of the Layer 1 CEOs, they didn't do that. I was one of the few guys who did say, you guys are not a security. I've never believed that you are. And I left Ethereum. Let's make sure you understand this baseline here in June of 2014. Why? Well, I think everybody knows I was pushed out. And what does that infer? It infers that I'm not exactly on the best of terms with everyone over there. You know what that also means? It means that I had nothing to do with any of these things that occurred inside the Ethereum ecosystem. You will not find any emails or text messages or documents or other things from the Ethereum Foundation with my name on them. Why? Because the Ethereum Foundation was founded after June of 2014. After. And the crowd sale occurred after June. It was, I believe, in July. They did it. They formed a different entity. There was an Ethereum Switzerland GmbH that was replaced with the Ethereum Foundation. It was the one with Mihai Alicia that set up Ethereum Switzerland GmbH. It's gone, doesn't exist. In July, they did the foundation. Yet now there's people running around saying, well, obviously, he's just, none of this behavior makes any sense. He must be involved in the corruption. He had to be the guy arguing for the free pass. He had to be the guy bribing them to go after XRP. It's a disease of the mind. It's something that eats away at your core. Conspiratorial thinking, when you really do embrace it, you lose all your friends. You lose all your anchors of truth. There's no absolutes anymore. There's no objective reality. Every single person is either with you or against you. And if they dare not utter the things you think are true without evidence, then they're the enemy. For almost 2 years now, we've been going back and forth on this whole thing. And at the end of the day, we're going back and forth over what? This hair-splitting difference right here? Is that really the hill we're going to die on? To the extent people say things like, I have to sell my ADA. I thought better of Charles. He's so immature. He can't admit he's wrong. He's so biased. He must be involved in these types of things. Even though I was gone here, and everybody likes to make a big fucking point of me being gone. They write books about me being gone, and they certainly did not put me in a good light. Corporatism exists in the United States. It's not okay. I don't like it when people do it. And we can't do anything about it. because investigations don't happen anymore. We just don't do that. You can go down the list. There's so many things, and you would be able to add 1,000 things to that list of injustices in the United States. Y'all remember the train that derailed, the train in Ohio? Well, just add that. It leaked all the stuff, and they created a big fire and burnt all the chemicals up. Did we do an investigation there? Is Buttigieg still the transportation secretary? Well, he is. Oh my. Consequences for that. All those people, all the cancer that they're going to get over that. Let's do an investigation. Oh, but we don't do that anymore. It's why the concept of free pass exists, but everybody's getting a free pass these days because it's a corporatist government. The only way to get rid of it is to change the Constitution, because it's not going to get rid of itself, no matter who is the president of the United States. People do business in shady, fucked up ways. And that's America. That's America in the pharma industry, the military, which is now, I guess, going to go and dump a bunch of money into yet another Middle East conflict. There's people right now talking about the United States going to war with Iran. Been trying to do that for 15 years now. They might actually get this over the line. So there you go, 80 million people against us. Is that okay? No. Are we going to spend trillions of dollars on it? Sure. And you get the bill, I get the bill. Education industry, the same situation. The bank industry, same situation. Software industry, medicine, law, telecommunications, you name it. Nepotism and corruption everywhere you look. Do we do anything about it? No, because we can't do an investigation. And after Occupy Wall Street and after Audit the Fed and all the things I've seen throughout my life, I stopped caring when people really have this outrage. You just can't change the system anymore that way. You have to do it differently, different things. But you do have to do some sense finding and never, ever argue against people's best interest. These guys make money with tokens not being securities. Not a good business, not good policy for all your neighbors to start becoming securities, because very quickly after you've weaponized the agency to do that, new guy gets in and he goes after everybody, as he's doing with Coinbase, for example. So it makes a lot of sense that they'd use relationships to do the first thing, because that's what people do in America. It's not okay. We don't like it when they do it, and they shouldn't do it, but they do again and again, and they get away with it. You need evidence to say this. So present it. And it's not there. And that's why I said grand conspiracy. And it was during an interview. I was at my ranch. I was not speaking as carefully as I needed, I guess. And y'all took it and blew it up into a gargantuan thing that has now been going on forever. And we keep getting articles, Cointelegraph and other things that come out again and again. I bring this up when I'm asked. Let's also bring it up. I'll put it right here. Charles brings this up when he's asked in interviews and AMAs. Making this video as a clarification, but historically that's been the case. In my community asks me questions, they say, what do you think about this? Or someone asked me in an interview, I have two options. I say no comment, which I did for a while because it was just so frustrating, or I can give my honest opinion. And my only comment recently was trying to separate these two things and say, you're just having such a troublesome time separating these two things. And hopefully laying it out this way helps a little bit. Maybe, just maybe. We're working on this document together. We're learning together with this whole thing. I don't know. We as an industry, we got to be a little bit better. We just got to chill. We just got to relax. We gotta get past all this tribalism and these types of things. And we have to understand that there is nuance in things, and we have to understand who the real enemies are. The enemies are corruption, corporatism. The enemies are bureaucrats who decide that it's totally okay to rob you of your economic identity and freedom. And the enemies are people that basically want to tell you that you should not live a life where you're in charge of your life. The own nothing and you'll be happy crowd, the WEF crowd. They exist. They're here. There's never been a case where I sat down and I said to myself, God, how do we beat Ethereum or Bitcoin or XRP and these other things? Because as different or together as these technologies can be, we're all on the same side from the perspective of one thing, which is we like the users being empowered. self-sovereign identity, be your own bank, push power to the edges, public key cryptography, own your own wallet. Basic concepts. No matter what system you choose and where your tribalism falls, 98% of the time, there's a huge overlap, conceptually speaking, of these concepts. Huge overlap. And it's okay if there's a diverse set of them or only a few of them win. At the end of the day, that's a net positive for humanity. The enemies of the world are the ones who tell you you're not allowed to check your own elections. You're not allowed to own your own money. You're not allowed to own property. When you buy a book at any given time, someone can take it from you or update it and change what's in it to agree with their agenda. You're not allowed to have objective truth. Those are the enemies. Those are the people I care about. And I wake up every day and say, we can't let them win because the tools are too good. And if we let them win, the consequences and damage and danger, the reality that they're going to give us is pretty dystopian and will make 1984 look like an instruction manual for a dystopian future. That's what I care about when I wake up every single day. And we're really going to die on these hills and divide each other and be this tribal over something so stupid and so trivial and write articles. Shame on you, Cointelegraph. Shame on you. And shame on you, crypto media, that takes every fucking tweet and AMA, takes something low context and just does an AI-driven article. Be fucking better. Honestly, grow the hell up and be better. Are you so in love and addicted to clicks that this is your standard now? This is how you operate now. We don't even listen to each other anymore. It's a summary of a summary. Everything now is headline. I only read the headline, even barely that. And I immediately disagree. And I got to comment on it and say something about it. We don't think deeply anymore. We're incapable. We're pathologically incapable of truly attempting to understand what people are trying to say. We have no one to blame but ourselves for that. We live in a society where we demand human rights, but we don't even understand the entry conditions to preserve and protect them. And our media is just merely a reflection of that. What are you guys really fighting for? Really, what are you fighting? Are you fighting for the philosophical underpinnings, or you just want to get rich? And do you even understand what getting rich means anymore? We live in a society where inflation's 10%. Every 7 years, your money gets cut in half. So you want to get rich? Well, if that continues and hyperinflation kicks in, everybody's a millionaire. Costs $40,000 for a loaf of bread, and everybody's going to be a millionaire. There you go. And Venezuela, they're eating the animals in the zoos because there's nothing else to eat. But I guess that is okay as long as you got a lot of dollars and digits in your bank account. Okay, what's your point then? Why do you even care then about these things? XRP versus Ethereum. They're just symbols, and symbol go up is all that matters. Okay, well, the real people in this space are fighting for a better future. They're trying very hard. If you actually take the time to listen, learn, and understand what they're saying, despite their competitive differences, to build stuff so you leave a legacy for generations of people. And you have to be considerate and deliberate about the design decisions that are made, because if you screw those decisions up, people have to live with the consequences of those decisions for generations. And in some cases, you can't fix it, like the internet. Vint Cerf didn't really think too much about mobile computing or the size of the address space. Why? Because the idea of having more than 4 billion computers and the idea of computers moving around was an absurd notion in the 1970s. Today, it's obvious because everybody's got a cell phone and there's trillions of computing devices. But in the 1970s, you couldn't imagine that. It was nuts. It was madness. And there are consequences. That lack of imagination led to design decisions, which we all suffer from today and are impossible to fix because of the scale of the internet. So shouldn't something that's even bigger, like your freedoms, your human rights, how you get to vote, how your money works, how your property rights work, how you resolve disputes with people, the notion of objective reality and truth, what you're allowed to say and think, how you communicate. Shouldn't those things be built with a slight degree of consideration and caution and care? And if you don't build those things that way, well, then doesn't that mean all those design mistakes that you make will be amplified and people will attack them and take advantage of them and cause catastrophic harm for you, your children, your entire future? But no, it's symbol go up. It's got to be green. Symbol go up. Really? We got to be faster. We got to move faster, because if we don't move faster, symbol won't go up. Not be green. It'll be red. And I won't be able to buy thing XYZ, which won't matter at all in next year. Come on, guys. Be better. Crypto media, be better. I don't know what else to say on this. I try every way to be seen, heard, and understood. I'm a complex person, and I certainly have my flaws and my issues, and there are certainly more than a few people that really hate me or think I'm just the worst person in the cryptocurrency space. And to them, good for you. I'm not going away. Still here, still building. It's been 10 years and pretty good at it. And there's certainly a lot of great accomplishments, whether you choose to acknowledge them or not. But one thing you really should do before you click like, subscribe, repost, heart, comment, just take a step back and ask, what is he really trying to say? And are you willing to put in the time to try to understand? If not, then why comment? Why? What do you gain? Who are the real enemies here? The people trying to actively take your freedom away from you? Or the people building stuff or for 10 years giving it away for free? Every paper is open source. Every line of code is open. It's always there. But no, we got to hate these people. Why? Because they're a different team. And if we like the people on the different team, my symbol doesn't go up. I don't know. Pretty frustrated, and you just keep moving forward, keep doing things. But maybe, just maybe, this broke through to a few of you and you really understand these are nuanced things. And it's entirely possible that what you've read as a headline or seen as a tweet might not actually be the full truth. And we have to hold ourselves accountable to trying to get to an understanding with each other before we comment on what people are saying. And we also have to understand where we're willing to put in the effort and where we're not. I fully acknowledge there's a whole house of research and evidence that's been done by great people in your community, XRP community, on whether there was a free pass or not. The reason I didn't engage with it, go on podcasts with John and others and talk about it, is that at the end of the day, whether I agree with it, disagree with it, think it's good evidence, bad evidence, conspiratorial, non-conspiratorial, I'm been around long enough to know it doesn't mean anything, because we don't do investigations anymore in America. And if we did, this would not be the first on the list. The things that affected every single American, like COVID or the bank bailout, or the fact we have $31 trillion in national debt and our money's damn near worthless now, or the endless wars that keep coming again and again and again, those would be higher on the list. But we don't even look at that. We don't look at when we kill people. We don't look at when human health has gone to hell. We don't look at anything. We just don't talk about it anymore. We just move forward and we just pretend like we've done something about it. And then everybody forgets in a year or two and we move on. Those translators in Afghanistan, we turned our back on them after 20 years of them working with us and serving us. Where was the investigation into that? There are a lot of people that know people that saved their lives that are now dead because they trusted us. No investigation. We didn't look into it. Don't talk about it. We just got to move on. Just who we are. So that's why I don't engage with that, because I know where it goes. And I get outraged, but then it just add it to the pile of evidences of corruption. I do get engaged when people make specific claims or comments, like, for example, that administrative agency has been weaponized against a particular actor on behalf of another actor. I fully believe the Biden administration has weaponized the Treasury Department to go after the cryptocurrency industry. There's ample evidence of that. It's called Operation Choke Point 2.0. And it's pretty screwed up. And that's why people are losing their bank accounts. And it's why all these people are getting hit. It's why Coinbase has been hit. It's why Kraken got hit. It's unfair, it's predatory, and it's on behalf of a small group of people that want to capture control and extinguish what makes our industry special, anti-competitiveness. I fully believe that, and there's ample evidence of that. To believe that a particular project has so much influence and power that they can influence the agencies to do what a president would do, that's a tall order. It requires a rather substantial amount of evidence, especially given that there's two separate administrations, the Trump and the Biden administration. Is it inconceivable that it could happen? No. But in general, there would need to be something there. You'd need to see something. And the incentives would have to be overwhelming to do something like this. And usually it falls apart after a year or two when we see these types of things. And yet it does come up from time to time. SpaceX was the recipient of these types of things from other people in the industry, but it didn't work in the long term. And they broke through. Same for the car companies and Tesla. They broke through. I don't know. We deserve better as an industry, and we deserve better as people, I think. And you know what? We'll just keep working. We'll just keep building. But I figured I'd make a video and just talk about it and try to change the approach a little bit. I can't wait to see how Cryptocurrency Reddit and Cointelegraph, these other guys, run this video. I just can't wait to see it and what they say and the low context and the low information. The cycle continues. It'll be the last time I engage with it. But I was hoping to try to break through a little bit and explain why we do what we do and the thought process behind these things. And maybe, just maybe, that'll reach a few people and it'll help you guys truly understand what I'm trying to say. And maybe, just maybe, you'll realize that the people you think are your enemies are not your enemies. And a lot of people are actually on the same side. It's not cryptocurrencies versus each other. It's the concept of you being in charge of your identity, your property, your life and information, your data, versus those who would like that to be controlled by the few. That's the real game here. And anytime you see stuff that tries to separate us from that, it's actually by that side specifically to harm our ability to compete.